Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Before we get started, please consider subscribing to my channel and possibly becoming a patron. Now this video is a review of the ToolkitRC M9 charger. This one here. The ToolkitRC M9 was kindly supplied by ToolkitRC for review. Now let's take a closer look at the M9, and I'm going to go through and demonstrate some of the extra features that you get with this charger. Now let's take a look at the back first. You can see we've got an XT60 here for the input, and we can input 7 to 35 volts. We've got the SD card slot there, and that's for the custom sounds and the pictures, and there is the speaker. If we rotate this way, you can see we've got a vent there, and the fan is on the opposite side, so that obviously pumps the air through. We go to the front, we've got an XT60 for output. We can charge 8 cell batteries, so there's our balance port. We then have an input and output for all the different functions and tests that we can do with this charger, and that uses a standard servo plug. We then have 2 USB plugs, and one is a USB-C and one is a USB-A. Now let's power up the M9. As you can see, there's my logo. It was customized by ToolkitRC. Now this is a 2.4-inch screen, and we can move this through 85 degrees so that you don't get any glare. So let's leave it there for filming. Now let's take a look at the buttons on the top. We've got the exit and function button. This is a scroll wheel, and we can also click it. You can see there's no battery on here, so it's not showing any voltages, and it's showing us that it's on standby. If we click once, we're going to go into the charger window. Now it's going to talk a lot while we do this. So let's have a look at the batteries that we can choose. So we can do LiPo, high voltage, life batteries, Li-ion, LTO, and so on. And this is the interesting one. It can also charge up DJI batteries. Okay, so we push. So okay. Let's change that back to lithium polymer. Then we can tell it to automatically check how many cells there are, or set the cells ourselves. We can do charge mode, obviously, and we can do charge, discharge, and storage. And we can do our end voltages, which we would normally obviously with LiPos keep at that, and then we can charge our charging current, depending obviously which battery we use, and then we would just click start. And if we go back up to discharge, storage, beg your pardon, you can see that we can change the voltage. Let me go down. We can change the discharge current just by clicking on it and changing it to whatever we want. 1.0 and it repeats everything. So I'm going to come back out. Now let's take a look at the accessibility window. Now we can do that by holding down the function button. Okay, so we can measure resistance. Oh, it's not going to like that, but I will do a demonstration of that later. Okay, in the video. Right, we can measure signals. So we can do PWM, we can do PPM, and we can do SBUS. Then we go to the signal output. And we can do the same, the PWM, we can do PPM and SBUS. Come back out. Then we can do an ESC test, which I'm going to demonstrate a bit later. And then we can turn this into a power supply. So we can output on this XT60 here a selected voltage at a maximum ampage. And again, I will demonstrate that a bit later. Now let's take a look at the setup screen. Now to get to there, we need to hold down this button, and there we go. It's going to carry on talking. Input settings. So we've got auto, power select. I might as well read it to you.
Power type. Max power. Max current. Voltage range.
Now I did have a look at this. You obviously can change it down. You can't make it go higher voltage. So that's all of the settings there. So I would say you would keep those standard. You wouldn't actually adjust those. Now let's go look at security. And I think the same with security. You wouldn't make any adjustments here.
Personalization.
Okay, so you won't make any adjustments here. Now we're going to go into personalization, and here we can put the backlight. I put the backlight down because I'm filming,
Backlight.
but we can obviously make it a lot brighter, but that's too bright for filming.
1.
Okay, we can
Operation volume.
change that.
Announce volume. Warning volume.
Now I've turned all of these down. I probably would leave both of these on low and this one on high, the warnings one. So if I, you know, sometimes I can be in the other room when I'm charging my batteries. I never leave them unattended, but I would change that maybe to high. Now the language in my case is English, and then we can change this to a dark mode or a light mode. Right, battery.
Selection.
Now this is really interesting, and I actually missed this on my one of the chargers that I reviewed. If we leave this off and we go to our the screen where I showed you where we charge our batteries, you will just come up. If you just change that screen, if you can remember what it looked like, you just go in and say I want to change the voltage or the amps or whatever. If you turn this on, so we're going to come back. We're going to come out of here now by pushing the exit button. Now if I click here, now you can see I've set up different batteries,
0.8.
which is actually it's talking in. This is quite neat because I would have this on so that all of my batteries, I haven't got to change the settings. All I'd have to do, you would have to obviously change it to
1.5.
okay. Yep, and so we could obviously put a new one in and make 3.8 and put it into charge. But if I'm doing a 1.5 battery, I click there.
Start.
Okay, and we can start charging. So I think that's quite neat that we can do that. And if we click exit, we'll come back.
1.5.
So let's just have a look. We're going to do a new one on the 38. On the charge current is going to be 3.8. That's my big battery for my plane. And we leave that on charge, and we come back. Yeah. So we can set up. Sorry about this. It's arguing with me now. So we can set it up as 3.8 for charge and for storage, and then you'll just scroll down and pick the one you want without having to adjust the settings.
1.5.
Which yeah, okay. I think which is quite a neat idea. So let's exit that before I go mad. Click the button again. Oops, again. Sorry.
0.8 ampere.
Okay, you don't want to make a mistake with this charger. Hold the button down, and then we're going to go to. So we've got that selected on, and I would leave that on. And continuous work is off. Now, this enables or disables continuous charging or discharge charging after a battery has been replaced. So suggest we keep that off. And work completed. This you choose whether you're going to carry on trickle charging or the charger is going to stop when it's finished charging.
Balance start voltage.
I would suggest you always leave this as always, because this balances the cells prior to full current charge. So I would leave that always on. And that's all of the setup options. Now let's charge this battery up. I'm going to use my normal 1500 milliamp hour 4 cell for the test. I don't have anything bigger than that, so.
Battery connected.
Okay. And the balance lead in. There we go. Now we are going to click back here. Let's go to charge.
Charge.
Okay, and end voltage is good. Is good. 1.5 charge rate is good. Let's click start.
Charging starts.
And there we go. So we're charging 4.2, 1.5 amps. There's the watts we're using up. There's the individual cells. And there's the impedance. So let's see how long this takes to charge up that battery. Oh, we've been charging for 23.5 minutes. And the fan hasn't come on at all. And we are nearly at fully charged at 4.2 for each cell. Now that's the first time the fan has come on since it was started charging. Okay,
Charge complete.
there we go, fast charging is done, so that's in just over 26 minutes. So let's leave it on and see when it completes. And there we go. Completed after 27 minutes and 49 seconds. Now let's do the discharge test for the M9. We're going to plug the battery in.
Battery connected.
It talks to you. It's great if you live on your own, get someone to talk to. Right, okay, so we're going to hit the scroll wheel, sorry, and we've got our settings here. So we're in storage, and it's going to tell us.
Discharge mode.
So if you're old like me and your glasses aren't too good, you'd be able to listen to what the charge is saying. Okay, so we'll charge is charging at 1.5. Discharge, I want to do that at 1.52. So
1 ampere. Start.
So let's start.
Discharge charge 2. 3.85 volts per cell.
Okay, I'm going to flip.
Discharge start.
And let's see how long it takes to bring that battery back to storage. As you can see, I've been running the charger for 1 minute and 45 seconds, and the fans come on. We're already at 55.7 degrees C, and it's fairly noisy, but not too bad. We've dropped off 0.18 of a volt already, just in 10 minutes. So the discharge time on this is looking promising. Let's take a look. If we move the scroll wheel, we can see the impedances of this battery, which is looking good. 3 is a bit high, but the others are fine. And we go back to the discharge rate, to the details, and then back to here. Yep, so it looks like it's discharging the battery very quickly. Now we're coming up to 23 minutes, and we are close to fully discharged this pack to storage. So that's very quick. Some chargers that I've reviewed have taken 2.5 hours. And there we go, we're at 3.85 on all 4 cells. But it still looks like it's doing some form of balancing. Fan stopped at about 43 degrees C.
Completed.
And there we go. So that took 29 minutes and 14 seconds, which is very respectable. Here are the voltage comparisons between the charger and my multimeter.
Measure resistance.
Now let's take a look at measuring the resistance of our battery. So we're going to plug in this 3-cell.
Battery connected.
Okay.
Measure resistance complete.
There we go, and it's showing the internal resistance there, 14, 13 and 14. Now let's measure a signal. So I've now I've connected my RadioMaster R88 to the charger, and I've got my TX16S bound to this receiver. So if we click measure and we go PWM. Now if I've plugged in to channel 3, which is my throttle, and there you go, we can test the throttle action. So if we move it to channel 1, okay, it's going to...
Telemetry lost.
There we go, back in again.
Telemetry recovered.
Now we should be able to see the aileron. So there we go, that's the PWM input demonstrated. Now what I've done, I've connected my R161 SBUS receiver to the charger. So we're going to go into measure signal again. We're going to change over to SBUS. And now if I move my throttle, aileron, elevator and rudder, we can see that that is working. Now let's demonstrate the signal out. I'm going to plug my servo in. I'm going to go to signal out.
Signal output.
And we've got on PWM, that's good. Also there's a click. And we go to, if we're on manual and we click here, you can see that the servo is moving. Now if we click, go back here and put it to auto, we could then check our, whatever surface this was activating on our plane, we could check that everything is moving and not binding in any way. Now I'd like to show you the last function I'd like to demonstrate for you. Now we're going to go to the power option.
Power.
So you can see I've connected my voltmeter up to the XD60 via some crocodile clips. Right, we're going to push enter. Now, as soon as, so you can see we can change the voltage. So obviously I've got a P200, so I've got a variable power supply. But if you didn't and you had a big LiPo battery connected to the back, you'd be able to put out whatever voltage you wanted to, which would be great if you wanted to track some electronics that was 6 volt or whatever. So let's push start and take a look at the screen. Okay, so we're putting out 5.04 volts there, and it's saying 5 there. And if we then click again, we can go and change the voltage. So I'm putting 16 volts in, so I don't think it's going to be able to give more than that out. Okay, 16 volts.
16.0 volts.
Okay, there we go. And it's putting out 16.03 volts. And there we go. I think it's great to have that function on the M9. Now let's take a look at the ESC test function. You can see on my test rig I've set up a motor and an ESC. I've plugged the XD60 into the output of the charger and then joined it to the ESC, and then the signal servo wire going into the charger. So if we go down
ESC test.
and we click, you can hear the ESC signal coming on. Right, now we need to click here and we can check if that ESC is working. There we go. And there we go, that's how we can test our ESC with the ToolkitRC M9. Quite a nice function that, I think. Before we move on to my summary of the ToolkitRC M9, I would like to show you how to put the charger into calibration mode. So if you update the firmware, you should really use a good quality multimeter to check that your charger is calibrated correctly. Now the way we do this is we hold down the scroll wheel button and then apply power. And there we go. And I'm not going to go into how we actually do the calibration. I have a video for that. Please search my YouTube channel and you'll find it. But we want to come out of this. We have to click once to exit. Now we need to go down and select exit.
Welcome to ToolkitRC.
And now to my summary of the ToolkitRC. I like all the functions that it's got. Obviously the sounds and the personalising the screen is a little bit gimmicky, I think, but it's a nice touch. You know, we all like to personalise things, but it's obviously wouldn't affect the functionality of this charger. I like the way the screen pivots, so that wherever it is on your desk, you can see the screen. I like all the functions it's got, because if you buy this, you know you get all the other functionality, the watt meter, etc. So you only have to buy this. I think a really good combination would be the M9 and the P200 power supply. If you look at the up here, you'll see there are 2 chargers up there, and they're the ToolkitRC M4Q and my M6 DAC, which I use all the time. I like that they can plug directly into the mains. So with this one, you would need a power supply to be able to power it. What else can I say about it? In the test I did, charging it charged very quickly, and also in the discharge with some of the chargers that I've tested, discharge takes so long, but this was quick. Obviously we like to have our packs and use them at the field, but sometimes that doesn't happen and you have to come back and discharge those packs. So yeah, I would, now coming on to the question, would I spend my money buying this charger? Now, yes, I would, in combination with the P200 power supply, I definitely would. I mean, if I was looking at all the other chargers at the moment, if I wanted mains chargers, I would go for the two that are up on my desk, the ones I mentioned earlier. But if I wanted to have a power supply as well, which is, I know this is not a review of the P200, but it is really good. So the P200 and this would be an excellent combination, I think. Only time will tell for its longevity, but in the test that I've done, everything worked well. And also the figures with regarding the multimeter test against what the charger itself said were very good. So yes, I would buy this M9 charger myself with my own money. If you would like to support my channel, please check in the video description below for ways of doing so. Well, I hope you found that review useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you have any comments or questions about the M9, please put them in the description below and I will try and answer them for you. Thanks for watching. Happy flying. Bye for now.